All right, guys, let's talk about first aid kits today. So, a good first aid kit is something that each and every one of us needs to have with us every day. Just in our normal everyday life, we come upon car accidents, kids falling off their bikes, bridges collapse, potentially an active shooter in a school setting. There just is, it's so many things that a good first aid kit can do for us. And it's really worth the time and effort to put together a good first aid kit. Now, on the table in front of me, I've got 4 different first aid kits. And each first aid kit is built for a specific purpose. And I'll kind of explain that as I go through them. This is going to be probably a 2-part video. We're going to cover 2 of the kits in part 1 and then the other 2 kits in part 2. Or we may get through the first 3 and then save the big one for the second video here. When you look at these kits, when we go through them, you're going to see a lot of common pieces as far as what the kits have in them. But depending upon the mission for that kit, it may be different. And depending on the mission, as we step up in size in kits, we can add additional capabilities to the kits so that we can do more things in an emergency medical situation. Kind of the basics of all the kits, though. When you build a first aid kit, you're building a first aid kit to handle the 3 things that if any of you have got medical training, you've heard this before. The ABCs: airway, breathing, and circulation. Those are the 3 main things that we need to take care of to keep someone alive until we can get to more advanced levels of care. Okay, so all these kits are built for that specific purpose. We want to handle airway, breathing, and circulation. Now, as we go through the kits, some of the things you're going to see require advanced training. So that's one of the things I really encourage everyone does. Take an EMT class, take a first responder class, take a CPR class, take a first aid class. Get out there, get training so that you know how to use this stuff and recognize the situations and recognize what steps you need to take, and then put the contents of your kit to good use to make a difference in saving that person's life. So let's jump into the kits here. Remember, ABCs, this is all oriented towards that. Some of these kits are mission specific, and we'll explain that as we go through. So we're going to start with the first kit here. This is a small pocket kit. This kit is designed to fit in a cargo pants pocket. Throw this in your car, throw this into kids' backpacks. All of my kids carry these in their backpacks. We've got 1 in every vehicle. I've got 1 in every backpack. Bug out bags, get home bags. This is a very basic first aid kit. It's really set up to handle primarily bleeding. Okay, so whether it be a cut, a scrape, a gunshot wound, a puncture, this is to help stop bleeding. So it's a small kit. Like I said, it can go in your pocket. Can go in your backpack, the pocket and the door of your car. These are fantastic, and they're fairly inexpensive to put together. Most everything in here came from Walmart, so you can buy, boxes of 4x4s and other things that we're going to go through in here for $4 or $5 for 10, 15, 20 of them, and you can build multiple kits. 1 box of 4x4s of 25 that'll equip 4 to 5 kits. So you're not talking a lot of money, so that's not an excuse not to build a good first aid kit. So let's start with this one. Let's get into it real quick like. And you're going to find some other things in here that are other common things you'll have around the home. Tampons. If there's a lady in a house, you have these. What's a tampon? And what does it do? It's designed for bleeding. It's a big cotton, ball of cotton in here to soak up blood. These are great if you've got a puncture wound. This can go right into puncture wound, help seal it up and absorb the blood. You got them? Put them in here. Cotton balls. Cotton balls go with our antiseptics. Okay, we want to try to control infection, so we keep some iodine and some alcohol. Cotton balls let you clean up the wound to try and knock our infection down before it becomes an issue. Gloves. Okay. These little Ziploc bags, craft stores, hobby stores, order them on Amazon. Again, very cheap, but they're great because it allows you to compartmentalize things so that you can find them. So in here I got 3-4 pairs of gloves. Another little bag. It's got some Band-Aids. It's got some medical tape. The medical tape, I don't know if you can see that or not. Take an old credit card, debit card, hotel room key, cut it in half, cut it in thirds, wrap the tape around it. Becomes very, very portable, very small, rather than having a large roll of tape, which will take up a lot of room in your kit. This is very small, okay? Still allows you to carry enough tape. There's probably a third of a roll of tape on that. But because we spread it out and made it flat, it takes up a lot less room. Okay? Some alcohol wipes and some Band-Aids. This is kind of a boo-boo kit. Okay? Comfort kit. Again, small, easy, and inexpensive to put in here. Okay? More alcohol wipes. Again, we want to try to control infection, guys. That's a big thing for this. Infection leads to additional problems that you don't want to have to deal with. So if you can clean stuff up before you bandage it up, you want to do that. Okay, I carry a little pack of pills. It's got ibuprofen, Tylenol, and an anti-diarrheal in here. If you're in a situation where you don't have access to good water, or you get into some bad food, if you're in a survival situation, a get-home situation where you're 2 or 3 days out from getting back to your home, that anti-diarrheal can actually save your life. You get into some bad food, some bad water, and you get diarrhea, you'll get dehydrated very quickly. When you get dehydrated, you lose your brain doesn't function as well, it's not as sharp, and it can actually kill you fairly quickly if you get dehydrated. And then the meat of the kit here, again, this kit is set up primarily for blood stoppage. Small kit, so I keep 2 5x9 Surgi pads in here. Just kind of thick pads that you can put on a wound, wrap it with the tape to control bleeding. Got 4 4x4s in here. Again, blood stoppage, soak up the blood, cover the wound, tape it up. Couple of 2x3s for smaller wounds. These are also non-stick. So you do want to keep a few non-stick pads in your kit. Reason being, these gauze pads will stick to the wound. So that dressing, as the blood dries, as the fluids coming out of your body dry, they're going to stick to this, so when you take it off to change it, you're going to reopen that wound potentially. Non-stick pads won't do that. So you want to keep a variety of blood stoppage pads and non-stick pads. Okay? Longer term, short term. And then some larger Band-Aids. These are, the 3-inchers. Again, 3-4 of these. This is a basic kit, again, designed for an emergency situation. Stop bleeding. That's what this kit is designed for. Nothing else. There's no real airway. Nothing in here for your airway. And circulation, that's something you're going to have to do. You're going to need to learn CPR to be able to continue circulation in someone's body. This kit is all about stopping bleeding from a traumatic event. Okay? The next kit we're going to look at, this kit rides on my battle belt. If I'm wearing this, if I'm wearing the battle belt, that means I'm in a situation where I've got a little higher risk of certain types of injuries. Okay? I'm going to be wearing this when I'm in a defensive situation and I have threats out there who are trying to shoot me, stab me, arrows, you name it. This is what I'll be wearing when I'm in that type of situation, trying to defend my family, defend my home, or if I'm traversing from an area where maybe we had civil unrest or we had a very large natural disaster and we're in a temporary without rule of law situation, i.e. the hurricanes down in New Orleans. There was a lot of looting going on. There was a lot of other types of activities where people were taking advantage of the situation. So this is going to be worn in a specific time, so the kit's set up in a specific way. On the outside of this kit, I've got a tourniquet. Okay, one of the best things you can have, one of the most important things you can have for blood stoppage. Got a set of EMS shears. All this is contained in a pouch that is designed to be accessed by either hand. That way, if I'm injured, my right hand's injured, my left hand's injured, I wear this in a position on my belt that's more towards the back, so that way I can reach it with either hand. And the kit is set up so that you simply pull the top open, and here's the contents of your kit, and you have a tab, and there's different setups. Many companies make these, but this is a particular one that I chose. Some have got little cards in here that everything's attached to. I went with this one because you simply pull this tab, and the content of your kit comes right out. So you can get that out on the ground beside you so that now you have access to your kit, or someone who's with you has access to this kit to work on you with. So inside you're only going to find 5 items. We had our tourniquet on the outside and our shears. We're going to find quick clot combat gauze, slippery stuff. I caught it though. I'm going to find a nasal airway, and that's hard to see in this package here. See if I can get this up on the camera a little bit. I've got the second video will have a nasal. This goes up through the nose to provide an airway. Your tongue is the #1 airway obstruction that you have. Okay, when you lose consciousness, lose control of your muscles, your tongue will naturally fall back into the back of your throat, thus occluding your airway. Got an Israeli bandage. Okay, these are great. Look these up. There's a lot of videos on these. Basically, it's an ACE wrap with a big, thick gauze pad on it that you can take to apply direct pressure to a wound, because direct pressure is going to be the best way to stop any bleeding, especially an arterial bleed. So you want to put as much pressure on it as you can. You can't, it's hard to sit there and hold it, but with a bandage like this, that's got a built-in tensioning mechanism that can tighten that pad down onto the wound, pack it with gauze, put this pad over top, tighten it down. Very, very effective in stopping bleeding. Chest seals. This goes into your airway, your breathing. You puncture wound in your chest, you get a collapsed lung, makes it very difficult to breathe. These close that hole up, yet allow for an exhaust vent on it. And the other thing that is in here is a needle decompression. A decompression needle. Say that the right way here. A decompression needle. Again, you get a hole in your chest. Air can get in where it's not supposed to. You need to get that air out so that your lung can expand so that you can breathe normally. Okay? Now, some of these, the nasal, chest seals, decompression needle, these are all more advanced techniques. You need training on these before you use them. Okay? But each one of these things, although very small, can really make a difference in sustaining someone's life when they're injured with the types of things that this kit is built for. Punctures, gunshot wounds, cuts, things like that. So, going to come back, going to do the next 2 kits.